you had the greatest comeback in UFC history. You were champion before. You lost your title due to injury. You blew both of your knees out. One knee you blew out twice. You tore your quad. You'd broken your hands, multiple surgeries, 7 surgeries, and you came back and won the title again. I mean, that's incredible if you really think about it. It's freaking incredible. Do you realize how incredible it is?
Well, first, thanks for saying that and actually like saying it. It's nice to hear when someone knows that what I did was not as easy as it may sound just by saying it. It's like to say it's one thing, but to go through it was like when I talk about it, as you can see, I cry because that's probably why I don't talk about it. It was very hard, but also I'm grateful for it, you know?
Sure.
So it's like, I try not, it's a weird line you play because you could sound victimy telling it when really I don't feel that way at all. So I don't talk about it a lot, but I know it was difficult. I know it was a lot. I just, comparison is a thief of joy, right? So I can compare to so many people in the world who've been through so much and kind of sometimes take away the what I've done. I think I do that sometimes. But when you look at how would you put a waterline on what you're saying that was a lot and that was hard? Well, when I can do that, I would have to look at other sports and see who's done what I've done in other sports, and there's not a lot. So that's how I can look at it. Like you look at football players, not a lot of football players with triple ACL reconstruction, and 7 hand surgeries, stuff like that coming back. Um, basketball, soccer, boxing, like you just don't hear about it. There's a couple. I looked him up. Derrick Rose was one of them, but even him, he wasn't at the. He didn't come back to win a championship after he did that to his knee. And Adrian Peterson was somebody I really was looking up to because he had blown his knee out at the time, and I think it was the second or third time for him. And he came back and was hitting record numbers that season.
Yeah.
Adrian Peterson was smashing people on the football field after he'd come back, and so that was really inspiring for me. There was little people here and there that I remember looking for feedback from,
Yeah.
and they supported me. But yeah, not a lot of people. I didn't have a lot of people to lean on. GSP had blown his knee out and come back, but not 3 times.
3
And
times in 3 years,
yeah, not that.
plus a quad.
Right. Yeah. So it was a lot. And
Yeah.
no, I didn't have a lot of people to lean on and ask questions and experience. Most of the time it was what Dana said. You're the
Yeah,
most unlucky person I've ever met in my life. That's usually all you'd hear.
yeah, I don't hear it talked about as much, and maybe it's because you don't talk about it that much, but I've always just found it, you're my friend too, but it like, I don't think that people really understand what you did because it's one thing to win a UFC title, which is amazing. I couldn't have been a UFC champion, but when you do it and you have everything against you, you have 3 knee surgeries in 3 years, and you have the quad issue, you overcome that and you're still able to compete at that level because you're not as fast as you were 15 years ago. That's like there's no way that you can have, the same speed as before you had your first surgery or your second surgery. After 3 surgeries,
Well, that's what they say, but that's actually not true.
well, I mean,
Not true.
I mean, I
I'm telling you, it's not.
I don't think that you were
Just like
as
ring rust was a real thing too.
well, I don't think that you were as fast against
I do.
Dillashaw.
I do.
We'll disagree on that one.
Yeah.
But,
As I was against two.
as you were against Faber the
Yeah, I mean,
first time.
I don't I mean, the first time I won. Yeah, in
It's the
2012.
first time you won, yes.
So 5 years later when I think it was only 2 years later,
Well, there's
2014.
yeah, and I understand you don't think you're slow. There's nothing wrong with being a little slower. I mean, you get older and you have
I
3
just don't
surgeries.
think I could have beat him if I was slower because TJ was faster than Faber.
Yeah, but there's
It's on
experience
paper.
too, man, and there's that you're what you have is a crazy will to win. You hate
Mhm,
losing more than just about anybody I know. And you're super strategic. So it's not just all speed.
mhm.
What you
Yeah,
might have
that's
lost
true.
in speed, you gained in all of these other things, experience,
Mhm,
understanding that you could overcome adversity to the highest level, to fight for another title, even just to get to that point, you're breaking, all the odds. So, uh, and I've always thought, I mean, it's just it's an incredible feat when you really break down all of those, all of those things. And
I think what's hard for me is just how impossible it was said to be while I was about to do it, and then how little people say about it when it's done.
well,
I think that's what blows my mind the most about humans
yeah,
is like all I heard for years was how there's no way you're going to come back the same. You're going to be slower. Ring rust is going to mess you up. And all I said for years was what you're saying right now is not true. And what they were saying then wasn't true. I know I'm as fast as I was then. Now I'm not. Then I was. Now I'm not because I'm 38. Then I was only 28 or something, I think.
2015,
I was
yeah,
still in my 20s. So it's like I
2 years
knew
ago.
for me, I had, even with my knee surgeries, with what I was doing at sports science lab, I was positive I might have been faster,
Interesting.
honest to God, not slower. And my knees are stronger now, just like my hands, than they were originally.
Yeah.
Because what you learn when you do a rebuild, the way I've done so many times, is you strip the muscle completely to the bone every time you do a rebuild. So when you strip something down to the bone, it's like take a car and gut it and put brand new stuff in it.
Mhm.
Like, doesn't mean it's slower. It's the same frame. It's just you put new stuff in it. So it's like I came back more flexible with better range of motion and stronger legs than when I got hurt originally.
Yeah.
And then all the rest mixed into it, I think it really like my knees feel great. They're a little achy here and there on
Mhm.
certain days, but stability wise, they're stronger than they ever were. So I don't have an actual way to prove that you're wrong or that I'm right.
Yeah.
I don't really care, but
Yes.
it's more like I don't know if that was
Well,
true that I was slower,
either way, whether you were or weren't, to me you were, to you you weren't. It doesn't even matter really. It's just the point that you overcame all that, and against all odds, doing something that, I mean, to me, if I were just to be a UFC champion one day, I'd been like, oh my god, but to do it after all of those injuries, it's not. I don't think most people know what you went through, like to the point of how many surgeries. Even me, I was like, how many was it before and we've talked about a lot of this stuff before,
I
but
honestly need to go back and look at my medical history because I stopped trying to know.
yeah,
You just don't want to know anymore. And I stopped counting it like 10, 11, 12. I mean, 7 on my hands, so many on my knees. I've had shoulder reconstructive surgery since then. I've broke my nose a second time since then. I've broken my ulna. I've broken my feet, my ribs, and I have sp- um, bone spur in my neck and my ankle. So those are like after that have had to my fight career
sure,
after I won the title,
yeah.
and I'm still here. So it's like I think people need to know that how tough the human body really is.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things they drove me to is like you guys are all don't know what you're capable of, honestly.
Well, is it so it is the human body, but it's also, the human mind, because you've had to have a really strong mind to even, even overcome all of those things.
I appreciate that you notice it and like because I not a people that's kind of what I mean. You've been through so much yourself, Ed, that it takes somebody who's been through hell and back to see somebody who's been through hell and back. And that's the irony of the situation. And there's so little people like that these days that a lot of people don't notice what I've done. I agree. You have to go through hell.
Yeah.
Like you've scooped shit out of toilets and taken them up flights of stairs to have your dream come true. I don't know how many people have done that. I'm not saying they haven't, but I don't know if the numbers are higher on average of people who have gone for it at the level that I've seen you go for it. I could say the same stuff about you with your business. So it's like we're mirrors for each other. And I think that part of the difficulty about doing impossible great things is there's not a lot of people around you who will notice you're doing impossible great
Mm.
things unless they've done it themselves with you or around you or near you because we're all mirrors for one another. And if I can't see myself in you, then I don't know if I can see it. It's hard to see it because I'm looking through my own scope.
Yeah.
And it's like all the greatness I see in you, I've seen it somewhere. Where did I see it first?
And yourself.
Usually,
Yeah.
from my experience in humans, it starts with us, and then we give it to other things. But realistically, we're the source of everything we create. So it's like I think that all the greatness I see in you, all this fancy stuff, all this is all stuff I see in me. I just haven't taken the steps to go create. And I'm grateful that you have done it because you pushed us to create it.